Thank you, councillors. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Central Coast Council for August. And where is the year disappearing to? We have apologies from Councillor Michael Smith, who is currently overseas. Other than that, we are all in attendance. Just a reminder that this council meeting is recorded. It will be live streamed and will remain available to the public online. So we bear that in mind when we are having our discussions and debates. I'd like to call on Councillor Wiley to do the acknowledgement of country and the statement of values, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The Central Coast Council acknowledges and pays respect to the traditional owners of Lutruwita, the Palawa Pakana people. We acknowledge the Palanapana tribe of the North Country, and in doing so, we celebrate one of the world's oldest continuing cultures. And the statement of values, guided by the diverse beliefs, experiences and backgrounds of the people we represent, we strive to make inspired and respectful decisions today that will build a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I'll move on to item 1.1, which is the confirmation of minutes. So the resolution would read that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the council held on the 17th of July 2023 and the planning subcommittee meeting on the 24th of July 2023 be confirmed. Could I have a councillor who is present at those meetings move that way? Thank you, Councillor Hiskett. Seconded, Councillor Viney. Any discussion or questions on the accuracy of those minutes? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 2.1 is councillor workshops. A list there of the workshop activity that we've undertaken since we first met. Would any councillor care to move the suggested resolution for this item?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beswick. Seconded, Councillor Diprose. Any questions on that record? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 3.1 is Mayor's communication, and I would invite Councillor Diprose to tell us about a presentation that she has for us this evening. Councillor Diprose.
Thanks, Mayor. On the 17th of May, I attended the Dorothy Awards in Hobart. For those that don't know, the Dorothys are Tasmania's premier award for LGBTIQ+ inclusivity. The awards were named after Reverend Dorothy McRae McMahon, who grew up on Tasmania's west coast and went on to become a leading figure in the Uniting Church and one of Australia's most respected lesbians. The name also echoes the old term friend of Dorothy, used by gay people to refer to each other and taken from The Wizard of Oz. Each year a theme of all sector is nominated to be the focus of the awards. The awards showcase best practice and inspire organisations and service deliverers to excel in providing a safe and inclusive environment for LGBTIQ+ Tasmanians. This year, the awards were Excellence in LGBTIQ+ Inclusion in Government Agencies. Sorry, that's next year's.
This year it was local government, wasn't
This
it?
year was local government, which was announced the year before by Minister Nick Streets. So there were 3 awards, with the first one being the City of Hobart for the Pioneering Change category. And this award is for the role they have played over a considerable period of time in engaging with LGBTIQ and communities, showing visible and public support when it matters. I believe they were the first council to fly the rainbow flag. Central Coast Council got the award for the most inspiring category. This award recognises the significant change that has been in the Northwest from hosting anti-gay rallies in the 1990s to publicly making amends and apologising to the community for these past events. The Best Practice Award was won by Kingborough Council and recognised their efforts in undertaking a holistic process, beginning with educating themselves and engaging with the community to developing and to implement a specific LGBTIQ+ action plan for the municipality. I'd like to present you with this award now. but also greatly appreciate Daryl and his staff for making sure that a submission was done down there. So great work.
Fabulous. Thank you. And our support, yes, our thanks to staff that did the submission, and thanks to you, Councillor Diprose, for attending and bringing back yet something else to put in the trophy cabinet. And we look forward to continuing that good work as part of our organisational culture and priorities. Thank you so much. I have nothing else to report, so moving on to 3.2, which is the Mayor's Diary, which includes events that I have attended on your behalf and also events that others have attended. Just one item to add to my own diary, which was yesterday's Marine Volunteer Rescue Lunch, where we celebrated 30 years of service by Commanding Officer Anthony Flannery. So for someone who's not yet 50, celebrating 30 years of service to emergency services is no mean feat, and the cake was very good. Would anybody that has attended any of those other functions like to share with us? Councillor Viney.
Certainly, Mayor. It was my privilege to, on behalf of the Mayor, attend the Tasmanian Surf Lifesaving Awards of Excellence. Very well attended and great night to be at. At the awards, the Central Coast did take out a few of those awards, and I'll start with the Marine Rescue section, which are our friends just across the river at the Sports Centre. They took out 2 awards. First one being for Outstanding Individual Contribution by Miranda Bird, and also the Youth Achievement Award by Braden Flannery. So they were well taken. And the Penguin Surf Club were awarded the Patrol Club of the Year for 2023, and the Surf Lifesaver of the Year was awarded to Tiana Reeve of the Penguin Club as well. So Central Coast did pick up a few of the awards. Good.
Reflection of the good work. Would anyone else want to speak to any of the events they've attended? Councillor Wiley.
Thank you, Mayor. I might briefly speak on 2 events if possible.
Yes.
The first one being the Caves to Canyon AGM, which I attended with yourself, with GM Barry, and with Amanda. Unfortunately, Councillor Carpenter was unable to make this one, and there was a lot of really good things said about Councillor Carpenter and his work that he's done with Caves to Canyon. But I would like to particularly thank Scott Midgley, the outgoing president, for his 5 years of service, and to congratulate Ben Hiskett for his incoming presidency role, amongst the rest of the committee that have also worked really hard over the past 5 years and beyond. The other event that I'd like to speak to was our Central Coast Council All of Staff meeting, which was a fantastic get together, get to know our new general manager, and was really well received by all staff and all attendees from what I can gather. And it was just a really great way to celebrate the new council and the new leader of our council going forward.
Thank you. And of course, Councillor Wiley also joined us at the Caves to Canyon AGM and dinner. Councillor Hiskett, what did I say? Councillor Wiley. We're having great difficulty figuring out who was actually there.
Yeah.
It was a fabulous event, and well done all those that attended. Anybody else attending events? Councillor Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the privilege to attend the Ulverston Guides annual general meeting and campfire. It was well attended, and we heard about the busy year that they've had. Like most community clubs at the moment, it was a little bit heartbreaking to hear that they pay for their ongoing bills with fundraising events. So that was not a nice thing to hear. But the good news was that they were very thankful for the grant that they were awarded from the council. So they passed on that thanks. And look, it's the only annual general meeting I've been to where I've sung Boom Chicka Boom and around an indoor campfire. So it was a wonderful experience.
Great. I look forward to your notice of motion that includes our annual general meeting having Boom Chicka Boom as part of the agenda.
We should do
That's
it.
fabulous. Any other speakers? No. Thank you all for, yes, Councillor Beswick.
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like to just note that I attended on your behalf the Vietnam Veterans Day, the 50th anniversary on Friday. It was quite a moving day. Some of the men that were there. It's ironic, and I'll just tell this little story. I was actually, as a young boy, I was actually at one of the houses of one of these men that went away to Vietnam. He was my friend's brother-in-law, and I remember vividly that day that he actually drove away from the house and headed to Vietnam, and he was there the other day. And just listening to some of the stories from the men that did serve over there when they came back and the way they were treated, I probably wasn't old enough to sort of perhaps understand that at the time, but some of the stories that they told were, you know, shameful on our society in some ways. And so it was a special day to be able to go and share with those men and women there. And yeah, so it was a privilege to be able to go and support that. Just on one other note, Mayor, I noticed that you're in the pie eating competition on Saturday, and perhaps the cake was probably a good fit on the Sunday after the pie eating.
I seem to have consumed a lot of additional calories on behalf of you all over the weekend. But congratulations to McCarthy's Bakery for activating the Apex Park in Raby Street. They've had great success with their produce and the awards, and they decided to share that with everybody by putting on a community and family event. Spider-Man was there. Somebody from children's movies in a tutu that I don't know was there, but I made it through a pie and a half a can of Coke, and then I had to tap out, and my hat's off to those people that did the whole thing. No, well done to Sean McCarthy and his team for activating a little space in our CBD that gave delight to dozens and dozens of families that came down. It was great.
Going to add, Mayor, when will the video of yourself be on Facebook?
Yes, apparently there was some live footage taken. It's apparently going to cost me a lot of money to make sure that never finds it to Facebook. Anybody else wish to comment on the Mayor's Diary? That seems like a long conversation, doesn't it? Well done. Thank you all for your attendance, and isn't it a great privilege to be invited to these events so we can learn about what our community is doing so well. Could I have somebody move that the suggested resolution for this item be received, please? Thank you. Councillor Viney, seconded. Councillor Wiley. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? She's carried. Item 3.3 is declarations of interest. Does any councillor have an interest to declare on any matter in this agenda? No, none. Thank you. 4.1 is councillor reports. Councillors who have been appointed by the council to community and other organisations may report at this time. Does any councillor have a report to make from your committees, please? Councillor Wiley.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to just comment on the Central Coast Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They have a couple of events coming up in this coming month that I know that you've all received invitations to, but to remind you of their AGM on the 6th of September, and then the Central Coast Business Awards Night, which is on the 16th of September, which is a fantastic opportunity for us all to get together and celebrate the wonderful businesses we have on the Central Coast. So I'm looking forward to that.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Any other? Councillor Carpenter, I noticed in today's paper, Dalverton Waste Management have installed the depackaging equipment. Is that what it's called?
You set me up there.
Oh, sorry.
See today's paper.
Sorry, in today's paper, well, a fabulous story for us being a major stakeholder for Dalverton, the depackaging equipment installed
Talking
this
to
week.
the CEO through the week, yes, it is there.
Yeah,
And everything seems to be tracking well and truly on time and online.
Fabulous.
So they're really looking forward to finishing that product off, actually.
Good. So that
And
will allow.
The deep packager, did you read the full story? I suppose you must have done. I just read the headline.
I read 2/3 of the story.
It will take away all that manual stuff about to pull the wraps and all that stuff off. If a loaf of bread went in there for the sake, we have to pull that plastic out. So a good piece of kit.
Very
Let's hope
good.
it works.
Very good. Will help us achieve our outcomes. Yes, Councillor Lehman.
Yes, just wanted to report on Slipstream Circus, if I may. So I attended their committee meeting, and they've been busy applying for grants last month. And just to earmark some proposed dates for the AGM is next Tuesday. Sorry, not next Tuesday, next year, next March, the 24th of March. So
How very organised they are.
Very organised.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? No. That's fabulous. Moving on, 5.1 is leave of absence. There are no applications for consideration at this meeting. 6.1 is deputations. No requests for deputations to address the meeting or make statements or deliver reports have been made. 7.1 is petitions. No petitions under the provisions of the Local Government Act have been presented. Item 8 is 8.1 is councillor questions on notice. So around the table, councillor Lehman, any questions?
No, thank
Sorry,
you.
that I beg your pardon. Without notice, I'm in the right section. Councillor questions without notice. Councillor Lehman, anything?
No, thank you, Mayor.
No, councillor
No,
Carpenter?
thanks, Mayor.
No, councillor Wiley?
Yes, please, Mayor. 2 for me for the Director of Infrastructure purposes.
Thank you, councillor Diprose.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Hiskett.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Viney.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Beswick.
No, thanks, Mayor.
No, and none for myself. Thank you. 8.2 is councillors' questions on notice. No questions have been received. 9.1 is public question time. So a reminder at close to 6:40, the council will allow 30 minutes for public question time, and we can go over those conditions at that point in time or close to 6:40. 9.2, public questions on notice. No public questions were taken on notice from the 17th of July meeting. Moving on then to general management. 10.1, minutes and notes of committees of the council and other organisations. A list of the council of the minutes there, and you've been provided with copies. Would any councillor care to move the suggested resolution for that item?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Beswick. Seconded, councillor Diprose. Any questions on those minutes? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.2, we have an updated schedule of documents for fixing the common seal. You have a hard copy provided there for you. When you are ready, could I call for somebody to move the suggested resolution noting the updated schedule? Thank you, councillor Barney. Seconded, councillor Lehman. Any questions on the updated schedule? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.3 is contracts and agreements. Again, you have an updated schedule which has been circulated to you. When you're ready and happy to do so, could I have somebody move that it be received? Thank you, councillor Hiskett. Seconded, councillor Wiley. Any questions on the schedule of contracts and agreements? Councillor Hiskett.
Yeah, just if councillors could be provided with a bit of an update on the sensory sculptures for Penguin at a workshop coming soon, or now if there are any update to give, I just don't know what that does entail.
Okay.
Happy to have it on notice. That email sent in.
Thank you. The general manager's making a note there. So you are wanting to get some idea of how the designs were progressing? Yes, okay. Thank you. Any other questions in relation to contracts and agreements? No, we had a mover and a seconder, didn't we? Ian? Yes, sorry, did I have one?
For the
Yeah.
Contracts and agreements, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Thank you. No further questions? There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.4 is the correspondence addressed to mayor and councillors. Again, you have an updated schedule as a hard copy there for you. When you're ready, could I have somebody move that this be received? Thank you, councillor Wiley. Seconded, councillor Hiskett. Any questions regarding the schedule of correspondence? No. There being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. We had no questions for the general manager, so he gets a leave pass at the moment. Moving on to community services, item 10.5 is development application determinations. You've been provided a copy of the schedule for the determinations with your electronic copy, no updated hard copy tonight. When you're ready, could I have somebody move the suggested resolution for that item? Please?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Beswick, seconded councillor Carpenter. Any questions regarding the determinations?
Suppose just a comment, Mayor, there's still quite a bit of planning, obviously work coming through our offices, which is good to see. Because generally I think there's probably going to be at some stage a bit of a slowdown, but there's still quite a bit of work coming through. So that looks promising for some building work in the municipality over the next ensuing months.
Indeed, plenty of work there. We're grateful to our staff. Any other questions? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. 10.6 is council acting as a planning authority. So we remind ourselves that we are moving to work as a planning authority now. Could I have a councillor move the suggested resolution for that item? Thank you, councillor Hiskett, seconded councillor Viney. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.7 as listed in the agenda is residential retrospective single dwelling and shed shipping container, discretionary use in agricultural zone setbacks, and the application number is there. You have been provided with a resolution in the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to move an alternate resolution.
Thank you, councillor Carpenter. I believe that alternative resolution has been circulated.
Yes, Mayor. as circulated.
But at this point in time, or a seconder, Ian, before. Could I have a seconder for that before we
I'm
hear
happy to second the motion, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Beswick. Councillor Carpenter, would you like to read your alternative motion?
I'd like to, Mayor, but we've got to bear with me, please.
Yes.
That the subject to the following conditions, application DA 2023140 for residential retrospective single dwelling and shed shipping container discretionary use in agriculture, setbacks at Motts Road C2 6225-1 all be approved on the basis that the report provided by Walker Ag Consultancy considers that the proposed residential use would be located on a site that is not capable of supporting an agricultural use, not capable of being included with other agricultural land regardless of ownership, or agricultural use does not confine or restrain agricultural use on adjoining properties and will not have any other negative impact on surrounding agricultural activities. 1, the development must substantially in accordance with the plans provided by the applicant, which is 2 pages of dated stamp 29th of May 2023. 2, the development must be in accordance with the conclusions made in the Agriculture Assessment Report by Walker Ag Consultancy dated March 2023 and the Agricultural Assessment Abdomen by Walker Ag Consultancy dated the 2nd of June 2023. 3, prior to the issue of any approvals under the Building Act 2016, the owner of the land must submit and enter into a Part 5 agreement with the Central Coast Council under Section 71 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993. The Part 5 agreement is to set out the following matters to the satisfaction of the Director of Community Services. A vegetation buffer and screen must be established and maintained along the extent of the northern boundary. It must be planted prior to the issue of any other permits relative to this application. B, in the event that the existing vegetation buffer along the western boundary is removed or diminished, a replacement buffer and screen must be established and maintained along the extent of that boundary. C, vegetation buffers and screens must be of a vegetation with a final growth height not less than 4 metres. D, all vegetation must be located wholly inside the property boundary of C2 762251-1 and must make allowance for the final width of the vegetation so as not to impede onto adjoining land. E, the Part 5 agreement must list and acknowledge the resource development activities and operations that occur 24 hours a day, 365 days a year on surrounding agricultural land of C2 159852-1 and C2 113231-1 and make reference to matters contained in the Primary Industries Activities Protection Act 1995. 4, execution of the Part 5 agreements, including drafting and registration of the agreements against the against the respective titles must be at the developer's expense. Under the infrastructure services 5, only the existing crossover and driveway upon apron from Moss Road may be used as a road access to the development. 6, the property access and driveway apron must be upgraded in accordance with the Tasmanian standard drawing of TSD -30-R03-V3 rural roads, typical property access, and Tasmania standard drawing TSD-R04-V3 rural roads, typical driveway profile for the developer's cost. 7, stormwater runoff from buildings and hard surfaces, including vehicle parking and manoeuvring areas, must be collected and managed on site in accordance with the National Construction Code 2019 to ensure it does not cause nuisance to the neighbouring properties. 8, during works and until all exposed soil areas are permanently stabilised against erosion, the developer must minimise on-site erosion and the release of sediment or sediment-laden stormwater from the site and work areas in accordance with the soil and water management on standard building and construction sites. Fact sheet 2, published by the Environment Protection Authority. 9, damage or disturbance to roads, stormwater infrastructures, footpaths, curb and channel, nature strips or street trees resulting from activity associated with the development must be rectified to the satisfaction of the Council's Director, Infrastructure Services and the developer's cost. And 10, all works or activity listed above must be at the developer's cost. And I've got to read this please note too, I suppose, haven't I?
5, yes. Take your time, they're doing a great job.
Please note 1, a planning permit remains valid for 2 years. If the use and or development has not substantially commenced within this period, an extension may be granted if a request is made before this period expires. If the permit lapses, a new application must be made. 2, substantial commencement is the submission and approval of engineering drawings and physical commencement of infrastructure works on the site or an arrangement of a private works authority or bank guarantee to undertake such works. 3, prior to the commencement of work, the applicant is to ensure that the category of work for any proposed building, plumbing and or demolition work is defined using the determinations issued under the Building Act 2016 by the Director of Building Control. Any notifications or permits required in accordance with the defined category of work must be obtained prior to the commencement of work. It is recommended the Council's Building Permit Authority or a building surveyor be contacted should clarification be required. 4, the shed bracketed shipping container is approved as a Class 10 non-habitable structure and must be used in conjunction with the dwelling. If the shed is intended to be used for a purpose other than this, then a further permit for a change of use would be required. Under infrastructure services, again, 5, prior to commencement of works in the road reservation, the developer must obtain a works in road reservation permit. 6, prior to commencement of works, the developer must submit an application for a roadworks authority or a private works authority. Roadworks authority rates as listed in the Council's fees and charges register apply. And 7, works associated with roads, stormwater infrastructures, footpaths, curb and channel, nature strips or street trees must be undertaken by the Council unless alternative arrangements are approved by the Council's Director of Infrastructure Services at the developer's cost.
How many thanks to you, and I'm going to speak slowly so you have a chance to have a glass of water before I ask you if you want to speak to the motion that you just put. Do you want to speak to the
I will do
motion?
briefly now. I think this has been circulated to all councillors and the information's been put out there by our planners, and I note the planners recommend a refusal on this, but if you read through the agriculture consultancy report, it sort of, quite clearly shows that the block is at limited use for agricultural use, and the building will not impinge on other agriculture use, especially with the row of macrocarpus down the east and the row of rock through the centre of the small little block of 2,000 square metres there. So I have no issue of this being put forward. I understand it's retrospective. These things happen. We've dealt with them before in the past, And, you know, some outcomes are good and some outcomes are bad, but with the buffer zones that to be put in place, the Part 5 agreement for the future, I don't see this as an issue going forward there and put it there for adoption.
Thank you, councillor Carpenter. Would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Beswick.
Just briefly, yeah, I'm happy to support the motion as it's been put. The area where this is one of a small little hamlet. There's quite a few houses in that space, and as councillor Carpenter mentioned, this is a small block with so it looks like a seam of rock going through it, and I'm happy to take the report from the agricultural consultants on that basis. Having said that, I also acknowledge the representation from the neighbour. But as I say, considering the closeness of all the other properties there, I don't see how this is going to inhibit really that much more. And at these days where we've got, you know, a lot of shortage of housing, it's sort of nearly like someone putting a granny flat in the back of their yard, so to speak. So I'm happy to support the motion that councillor Carpenter's put up.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Hisker.
Yeah, Mayor. I won't be supporting the motion today. I just wanted to make some clarifying comments for that. The report put through by the planner I thought was fairly thorough and was satisfied with that. I do want to note that that's not a reflection on the want or need for this. It pains me to vote against it because it is something I'm passionate about, residents in agricultural land, but I just feel like the planner's report was pretty thorough in this regard, but appreciate the alternative motion put forward.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Viney.
Yes, I'm just noting that it is a retrospective application, and retrospective applications are treated the same as if it was an original application. It goes through all the same regulations and rigor that it would do on a normal application. However, the risks are much greater to the applicant on the basis that it may be rejected. On this basis, I agree with councillor Carpenter on the amended motion, and would be supporting the application.
Thank you. Any other speakers? No, councillor Carpenter, did you wish to close?
So you need to close me?
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, in that case, I will put forward the motion that is on the table. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. We will move on to item 10.8. It's not yet, not quite yet 6:40 for public question time. So 10.8 is the tender for repair of the Forth River Overflow Bridge, Forth Road, Forth. And you have a resolution in front of you. Would any councillor care to move the suggested resolution on this item? Councillor Hisker, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Beswick. Councillor Hisker, did you wish to speak to this item?
Yes, but briefly, thank you, Mayor. It came in mostly close to budget, only a little bit over with contingencies and other things like that, which is good to see that our budgeting process is not far off the mark. It's unfortunate to see only one tender for that, but there's a fair reputation of that bridge builder that satisfied that the job will be done to the satisfaction of the Director of Infrastructure.
Fabulous. Thank you. Any other speakers? No, there being none, I put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Two questions for the Director of Infrastructure Services from Councillor Wiley. Councillor Wiley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had some constituents ask me about the shared pathway between Turner's Beach and Leith on the bridge. There's been some work done around the viewing platform, and it's been narrowed to make it easier for bikes to pass either way. The questions that I was asked was whether there was going to be further work done on cleaning up the space where you can see the cogs. So there was obviously a want to be able to see the cogs where they move, but there's been quite a lot of bird mess on this. I was just wondering if that was, we know that there's going to be continual things that happen with the shared pathway, so I'm happy for you to take that on notice, but to see whether that could get cleaned up a little bit.
And the second one?
The second question was from some constituents in Forth regarding footpaths from Forth to Turner's Beach. I know that it has been brought up in the past, and I'm not sure how in depth it's been explored, but their concerns were around safety, walking with prams and bikes to and from school in Forth, and just connecting it to the southern end of Turners Beach to make that flow through to let the children be able to get to school safely on foot.
Paul, did you wish to speak to that one now, or?
Not really. There's been some very preliminary work done, but not enough to be able to give you an answer to give back to those constituents. I'll need to just take it on notice and give you a little bit more information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We might go on to 10.9 under corporate services. 10.9 is statutory determinations. So a schedule of determinations for the month of July has been provided to you. Could I have somebody move the suggested resolution for this item, please?
So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beswick, seconded by Councillor Wiley. Any questions on the schedule of determinations?
Just briefly, obviously we've got our new traffic infringement notice officers out and busy. Noticed that the parking infringements are up quite a bit this month. So I did hear somebody mention a few weeks ago that they were out and about. And as I said to them, well, if you don't stay over time, you won't get an infringement. So it's good that we've got our staff back up and it's getting monitored for the rest of the community.
Indeed. Any other statements? No, there being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. 10.10 is the Auditor General's report on the financial statements of state entities for the local government sector. And you've been provided with a copy of the Auditor's report, which is much appreciated. Would any councillor care to move the suggested resolution for this item? Councillor Viney, thank you. And seconded by Councillor Carpenter. Thank you. Councillor Viney, did you wish to speak to this item?
Yes, I'm just noting that we're accepting the report from the Auditor General, and I do note the comments and criticisms that are part of that report, and there's something for us to work on into the future.
Indeed. Thank you. Any other comments? No, there being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. We will go back to public question time. So we have some questions that have been provided to the General Manager in writing, and we have questions from the floor as well. So just a reminder that if you're intending to ask a question, a maximum of 2 questions can be asked. And if council is unable to answer a question at today's meeting, then a written response will be provided to you. And when asking questions, we ask that you stand and identify yourself. But as the people in the gallery are very experienced hands at public question time and know how it works, I don't think I need to give them the rest of the information. We will, as is our process, go to the General Manager reading out the questions that have been received for tonight's meeting and the responses. No. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, councillors, gallery, staff. On Wednesday, 26th of July 23, Mr. Anthony Adams submitted one question to be asked at the Monday meeting, which is tonight. The question is, could the Mayor please update us on any developments for the old Penguin AFL ground? I'm especially interested to know if there will be some residential prospects. I'm aware that the Mayor was in discussions with the federal government regarding funding. And the response is, on the 6th of April 2023, the Mayor and then General Manager met with the State Minister Roger Yanks regarding the ownership and transfer opportunities for the Ironcliffe Road Recreation Ground site. This was the earliest opportunity the Minister had to meet with Mayor Fuller. The Minister recommended that we discuss opportunities with Homes Tasmania. On Friday, 4th August, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and General Manager met in Hobart with Homes Tasmania. This was a priority action for the new General Manager, seeking to explore a partnership that would achieve multiple outcomes for Central Coast, being one, a lesser price to be paid by Central Coast residents to the state government for the ownership of the land, and council has budgeted $1 million in the 23-24 year as an estimate, and 2, a mix of housing options that would assist more people to access home ownership on the site, and 3, a timeline for the commencement of a residential development that is palatable for our community, given that the site has remained empty. for so long. Our visit was proactive and well received by Home Tasmania, who indicated their interest in exploring such a partnership. The General Manager has formalised our discussions in writing for their consideration. Council will progress these discussions as quickly as possible whilst focusing on the best overall outcomes for Central Coast. And that's one. We also have a question, Madam Mayor, councillors, from Mr. Stuart Breyer. Submitted 2 questions to be asked tonight. First question is, will council provide better direct public access on the council website to community representations by allocating a specific separate representations category, perhaps under community conversations? And the response is, council recently completed a major review of its land use planning processes, and a number of improvements have been recommended with a view to increasing community and developer engagement. Implementation of these recommendations is part of council's 23-24 annual plan and will include the following actions which relate to Mr. Breyer's questions. 1, making it easier for people to find planning related information on our website. 2, encouraging developers to engage with the community and respond to community ideas and concerns. And 3, sharing more information about development applications through traditional and social media. Because there is a potential for conflict between council's role as a planning authority and its role in representing the community, this work needs to be undertaken methodically and carefully. Nonetheless, there are changes that council is committed to, and we appreciate Mr. Breyer's suggestion around the detail of such changes. Question 2 from Mr. Breyer is, will council, given the desire for community engagement, improve that engagement and conversations that seek information regarding the ideas and opinions offered in the community representations by adjusting a representations category directly? And the response is, council is committed to improving our communication with the community. Over the last 8 months, council has undertaken a number of community engagement sessions throughout the council area, including community conversation, the latest of which will be held this Thursday, 24th of August, 2023 in Ulverston. As a part of setting our new 10-year strategic plan, which is due mid next year, council will review our community engagement policies. However, does not have any plans at this stage for a representation section on our website. Thank you. And the final question, Madam Mayor, councillors, is from Mr. Michael Haney. He submitted 2 questions to be asked tonight. The first question is, when will public conveniences, which are stated to be suitable for the disabled, be made accessible for all types of mobility scooters, particularly in relation to the width of doors and the central placement of toilets to allow access by wheelchairs from either the left or the right? And the question 2, will the council in the future be fitting disabled people's toilets facilities with height adjusting seating? The response to those questions is, in response to both your questions, the council will commence the review of its public toilet plan 2013-2023 over the next 12 months. This review will assess the council's current public toilet facilities and the need for any upgrades or construction of new facilities. The points you have raised in both questions relating to disability access and suitability will be considered as part of this review. Thank you. Madam Mayor, that's the end of the questions I have.
Thank you, General Manager. Thank you, Michael, for your questions. Adriana, I believe you have a couple of questions for us that we will answer tonight if we can, or we'll come back to you if we can't. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's lovely to be here and be participating in the council activities and be interested in what's happening in this community. I have 2 questions for you tonight. My name is Adriana Gibson. I am 78, going into my 79th year. I have been a resident here for 45 years. I live in Unit 6, number 1, Lovett Street in Ulverston, and its strata title is Ondine Court. My question is, I respectfully invite members of the council, male voices, to respond to my question. I ask this because I know from my experience that the mayor is under quite severe executive stress. And how do I determine this? I can feel it in her handshake, which I've had the privilege to say several times now. So my question is, apart from raising revenue and creating an income stream, what is the role of the Central Coast Council? And I want to know, in the past 45 years, how many apprenticeships and cadetships has the council offered to young people in this municipal district? I was here when Sandra Asian retired, and she was able to say that she had come through the ranks and had served as an employee of this council for 45 years. And I would like now to ponder how many more people will be able to make that claim in the future.
Thank you, Ada.
No, I haven't quite finished. I'll just
Okay.
see where I'm up for
No problem.
So is it a case of feathering one's own nest, and pardon my gutter language, bugger the rest? And I would like to know, in conclusion, number 2 is, what are the performance indicators of the council, please? And I ask these questions respectfully, and I thank you for the opportunity to ask them.
We thank you for joining us again and for asking the questions. And I'm wondering now whether or not I need more yoga classes. If my handshake would give the impression that I'm under stress, then I'm a bit worried about that. I'm certainly not feeling under stress. However, there were actually 3 questions in part that I had, General Manager. One was, other than raising revenue and distributing it again, the role of the council. The second one was about apprenticeships and cadetships. And the third ones were about performance indicators. Would you like to take all 3 of those? Perhaps number 2 is a question on notice, but number 1, how do you see the role of Central Coast Council, particularly as you are new to us?
Modern councils are a lot more than roads, rates and rubbish. We deliver over 270 different services throughout. We do childcare. We work on the hive. It's fantastic. So the role of council, in my view, is several-fold. There's no specific thing. We still need to do the essential things. We need to do our roads. We need to do the rubbish. We need to provide public facilities, parks, gardens, all those things that don't make any money. And rate revenue of this council is only 55% of our council budget. The rates go 55% of the way to filling the gap that we have to provide those facilities for council. So what we want to do, though, in terms of council going forward, is Central Coast Council, is be better listeners. So and Mayor's already started that. We're going out to the community on a number of things we've already spoken about tonight. So that's listening to what's going on with our community. We have our strategic plan that needs to be done next June for the next 10 years. And we're also going to actually have a term plan as well too, which is the next 3.5 years with this particular council, and this executive team will come out of the next 2 or 3 months. And that'll provide some clarity and some direction for us, because at the moment we have so much good intention in Central Coast Council, but we have so much on. Everyone's very, very busy, and we're going to break our promises to the community if we don't actually start putting those things in order and communicating what we're going to do, when we're going to do it. So we're going to have better communicators. And so, you could talk a lot what the role of the council is. You ask the ladies that work in the childcare. They have over 100 people, 100 families waiting to get into the childcare centre that we have as well. It's a very old centre. Do we rebuild that, or do we do something along those lines as well too? There's many things in relation to what council does, and I know everyone wants to get home tonight. The cadetships and apprenticeships, that's a fantastic question. I have to take that on notice to provide the exact details to you. I'm an ex-apprentice myself, and I know that I'm sitting beside an ex-apprentice. He's a bit more ex than me, beside me here in the deputy mayor. And I think we've gone, as a general comment in the world, and particularly in Australia, away from the cadetships and away from apprenticeships. I think that wasn't the best move, but I'll give you those details to you. The performance indicators of councils are varied. We did discover you on the agenda tonight was the report from the Board of the General's report, and there's probably 9 or 10 different indicators in there that actually we report upon on a regular basis as well too. So it's money coming in, money going out. Essentially, how we're looking after our assets, have we got a plan, and all about ratios. If you want to go into details of those, I'm happy to provide you to. There are a lot of them actually, and they tell you different things. Madam Mayor, is that enough?
Yes, no, that's enough. And I suppose for me, Adriana, the performance indicators that we're most interested in are those ones that we will set over the coming months over the 4 our achievements for the next 10 years. As far as our 10-year strategic plan, because that is our commitment to the community, and we want to make sure that it is achievable. That's our focus over the coming months, which will be a public document which we will publicly celebrate when it's published. So I hope that is of some use to you, and the General Manager will get back to you with some information about apprenticeships and cadetships.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, that actually brings us to the close of the meeting for the members of the public. We appreciate your attendance. You might get cold going home, Michael. I'm a bit worried about those hands. No, Councillor Diprose, might you help with the door, please? Thank you for your interest.
Thank you very much
For joining us.